Okay, this is the VEX infrared line tracker sensor. And you basically put it over a surface. It sends an infrared beam out, and based on the color of the surface, there will be infrared reflected. The whiter the surface is, the more infrared reflected, and the darker the surface, the less. When you're attaching it to your Cortex, it's one of these older sensors with the 3 wires. So you have to put it in one of the legacy 3 wire ports. If we come down here, we can see that on our Cortex brain. And we're going to just slide it right into, in this case, port E. I already have 3 other ones attached. And now the sensor is ready to test it out. All right, we've plugged in the sensor to our brain. Now we're in a brand new program here. We're going to go up to the setup, add device, and come down, look for 3 wire. And then we're going to go to the line tracker, and I put it in port E. And we'll say done. Minimize that. Okay, so now we put together just a small program here to test our sensor. We've put a while true loop, so we're just going to keep looping around. And I'm going to set the cursor to row 1, column 1, and then I'm going to print on the screen the line tracker value in percent. So we're going to download that and hit play. Okay, I've got the sensor right here. I can move. I'll zoom on in on this if you need to, but we've got a value of the black table. Right now it's 65. And then as we move the sensor over the white tape, we get 32. And if we come off, we get back to about 59, close to 60. And again, come back again, here's 35. And off it's 60. So you see, as we're going over the white reflective surface, we're getting a lower value. And over the black, we're getting a higher value. So the way we think about this conceptually is that if the middle sensor is on the line, then we want both sides of our drivetrain to drive at the same speed and just allow that sensor to stay right over the line. If we started to drift, or we were to say hit a turn, and the right sensor, I want to slow the right side of my drivetrain down relative to the left side so that the robot will spin back to the middle. And if I'm approaching it this way and my left line sensor hits it, I want to slow the left side down relative to the right side of the drivetrain to get back on the line. So the first thing we're going to try is, can we get the robot to follow a line that's just relatively straight? You can see as that left sensor or right back and forth it's going, but making very minor adjustments, but staying on the line. Taking it to the next level would be trying to track a line that's curved and a little bit more challenging. So let's take this one here. I'm in my program and I've set up controller motors and 3 LineTrackers. And the first thing I did in my program, which I encourage you to do, is declare an integer here. I called it threshold. Recall that the threshold value is going to be a number that's between what the line tracker is reading on the black surface and what it's reading on the white surface. So for example, if it's reading 60 on the black surface and 40 on the white surface, then the threshold should be about 50. When I tested it, I determined my threshold should be about 43. I've also created another integer variable called speed, and I set it to 7. That's going to be the speed I'm going to be running my motors at. You really would want to keep your motors running pretty slow for this activity to get precise movements. Okay, next I'm going to print out on the screen some of the values off my line tracker. And you can see here I'm setting the cursor to row 3, column 1, printing center line tracker. This is what's in the parentheses. And then I'm going to set the cursor to the next line and print the value of line tracker middle. And I basically did the same thing for right line tracker and left line tracker. And I've made myself a little if statement here that if the left value is less than the threshold, so if it's reading less than 43, then I'm going to spin the motor, else I'm going to stop it. And this is all the code I want to give you to get started. Obviously, you're going to need more code than this to track the line, but I want you to be thinking about that and working with your partners to try to come up with that and also researching on your own. Okay, this is a way for you to see that code in action. I've just got my line trackers pointing up and they're all reading 70. As you can see, the one I'm testing here is the left line tracker, and if it sees a value less than 43, then we should see the motors on this side turn on. Away. Okay, so it reads a 31, turns on, reads a 70, turns off, reads a 31 or 41. I'm underneath that threshold, turning on, turning off.